Hi everybody, I'm back for a new video and I thought you'd like this one. So what I thought I'd try and show you today is one of the questions I get asked the most when I'm out at craft shows or even in our group is flowers. You kind of know that flowers and me go together. I love flowers on my cards, you know that, just one or two, maybe a few more. And I love the watercolour effect as well. So this is what I want to try and show you today. I want to give you a couple of ideas and a few little tips and tricks on how to make your own watercoloured flower embellishments just using dyes and whatever medium you want to use. So I am actually going to make a card as well. So rather than just show you the techniques, I'm going to make a card and show you the effect at the end. So I've got all my bits already cut out ready. But I quickly just want to go through all the different options. I'm just going to move this to this side because currently I've got 4 or 5 different ways, different products that will give you different effects with your watercoloring. And watercoloring, it's one of those techniques that just never goes out of fashion. It's always trendy and it always looks really, really classy. And this card that I'm going to make today is literally going to be all white. And the only colour is going to be from whatever medium I decide to choose for watercolouring my flowers. And it's really delicate, it's really pretty, and it's so easy to do. So I'm going to go through all the different products that I've got that will help you achieve that lovely watercolour effect, but with a different finish. And this is one of the exciting things about creating your own watercoloured embellishments. The different products give you a different finish. So we can go metallic, we can go true watercolour, which is what the pens will give you. We can go chalky, or we can go pearlescent with a bit of texture with the radiant luster powders. So I'm going to go through each one and I'll demo each one just so you can see. I'm only going to make one flower just to give you the idea. But it will show you all the different ways you can do this and the different effects you're going to achieve. So by far the easiest way to do this, by far, is with my watercolour blending brush pens. Now, most of you that have been following me for a while will know I've been selling these pens for 4 years, 5 years, and we've sold thousands and thousands and thousands of these all over the world because they're just such good quality and they just make watercolouring dead easy. So they actually come, at the moment there are 4 sets. There won't be any additional sets. 4 sets is the whole colour palette, because you just don't need any more. The fact that you can take 2 colours from these and blend them into a third colour, secondary colour, or a third colour or a fourth colour, the amount of choices is just infinite. I've got all mine put into colour families. If I just show you, look. You don't get them like this. You get them in set 1, set 2, set 3, set 4. And the colours on the packaging give you a good indication of what the pens will be like inside the set. I can tell you that set 1 is almost gone again and I'm not restocking. But for flowers, actually, for flowers, set 3 is a really good set for your flowers. So set 3 and set 2. I'm going to show you these side by side. Let me just get these in order. Let me show you, look. So set 3 and set 2, if you look at the lovely array of colours we've got in here, you've got some stronger pretty colours in here. So you've got from the yellows, the oranges, the greens, all the way through to your blues, turquoise, pink, purples, and some reds at the end. So set 2 is actually a really good one if you want to get a set for yourself to have a go. This is a really good useful set, as is set 3. I mean, it's easy for me because I've got them all and I've got 3 or 4 sets of these just in case they run out. But I can honestly say, hand on heart, I'm still using my original sets from when I first released them. So that's how good these pens are. So set 3 also is a really good mix of colours. So for a first set, set 2 or set 3 is a really good set. They all are, and I know for a fact that once you've had one set, you're going to want to collect the rest. But it's easy to just start with one that gives you a good array of colours. So I'm going to choose for this card, I'm going to choose a few pinks and purples, I think, for this card. Actually, do you know what? I'm not. I'm going to do blue and green. I'm going to do blue and green. So I'll just choose my pens as I'm going. The beauty of these is you can make them as strong or as pale as you want. You literally, the more water you add, the paler the colour. That's how easy they are to use. So I'm going to choose my two of my favourites, look, which is this lovely denimy blue and that gorgeous olive green. And let's just throw in a little bit of turquoise as well. Let's go with this one, because why not? You also, in each set of these pens, for those of you that haven't seen these before, in each set of these you also get 2 water brushes. So they come in this fabulous storage case, which is a hard plastic, so it protects your pens, and then you also get 2 water brushes in with them as well, which is just an added bonus. And the water brushes are different. There is a couple of duplications, like the medium water brush. The medium water brush you get in a couple of sets. So that is the watercolour pens. I'm going to choose my colours as we go, so it just makes my job easier when we get to the actual colouring in. And then the next thing we've got is my chalky paint. And you all know I absolutely love my chalky paints. So I'm just going to take that. I don't know why I've got that bit of kitchen roll in there, but I have. So I'm going to put the lid back on, flip it over, and so you can see the current colours in the chalky paints. So all of my paints are water-based products, which means you can mix them with water to create paler shades, and they're really easy to clean as well. You can mix these paints with anything, texture mediums, texture paste, all sorts of things. You can paint directly onto grey board, you can mix them with water, you can mix them with my radiant lustre powders. The list is just endless, and these colours are beautiful. So let's go purple and decisions. Let's go purple and lilac. No, they're too similar. Let's change that. Purple and pink is what I'm being drawn to, but I'm not. We're going to go for Pacific Coral. Pacific Coral. You know these are chalky paints because they've got the black band on the label. And we're going for African Violet. Yep, African Violet. There you go. So I'll just leave those there. So again, different ways you can do this. You can paint directly onto the die cut flowers and you will end up with a lovely beautiful chalky finish. I have done that in a video previously. You can dilute them with water, which is what we're going to do today. And then moving on to my metallic paints. So for those of you that don't know, Flawless Media is my brand of media products. So Sentimentally Yours is my brand, as you know, and Flawless Media is another brand from Sentimentally Yours. And all my media products, all my paints, powders, texture paste, etc. are Flawless Media. And I've called them Flawless Media because that's exactly what they are. The finish you get is flawless, and the quality is absolutely second to none. And you know me well enough to know that I test everything rigorously. So I know that these are going to do the job that we want them to do easily and help you to achieve fab results. So the metallic even, the metallic paints, they're all acrylic, they're all artist quality, and the metallic paints don't have the black band, so you know the difference when you've got them on your shelf. Yeah. So let's choose 2 colours and let's go different for this. Let's do a bright colour. So we'll have the Lime Crush, which is a beautiful lime colour, and let's go hot pink. just so we can do a different colourway. There are currently, in all of my paints, so there are currently 15 in the chalky paints and there are 20 in the metallic. There are more paint colours coming this year for both sets, but as you know, I don't release them until I'm 100% happy with them, and so getting the colours right is crucial to me. And currently you can buy these in sets of 5 that I've put together. So they're in cohesive sets of 5, which I know will work. The colours in those sets will work together. It makes it easier for you if you struggle choosing colours. And you can also buy them individually. So you can even just start collecting them one or two at a time. And every time you do an order from the website, just pop a paint in, and then eventually you'll get where you've got them all. So that is the metallic paints. And then we've also got my Radiant Luster powders, which are one of my favourite products. So I'm going to flip that over. And the same as the paints, you can mix this with water, you can mix this with texture paste, mix it with texture mediums, mix it with other paints. You can do so many things with these powders. And you can also buy these in sets of 5 that I've put together, or individually, which I always give you that option because it just makes it more affordable. And if you're a member in my Facebook group, let's just pop this on here. So if you're in my Crafting with Phill Martin and Sentimentally Yours Facebook group, there you go. Just search on Facebook for that and you'll find it, and you can ask to join the group. If you are in the group, there are some charts. I've created some charts so you can make your own colour swatches from these and the paints. And the finish you'll get from this is different. So you'll still get a pearlescent finish, same as you will with the paints. But what you'll get from this is a little bit of crunch, a little bit of texture. So let's choose a couple of colours. I've got pink and green, I've got lilac and coral, I've got blues. So let's choose a different, let's have a look. What have we not had? Blues, let's do blues. So let's do, oh no, I've got blues. I've already got blues. Let's do yellow and orange. Yeah, so we'll go yellow and orange. So I've got African Sunset and Dandelion. So we'll do a yellow and orange version with these two. So I've chosen all my colours. I've shown you the products. So these are really an investment. And I think for me, the paints and the powders and the pens, once you've got these, they're going to last for so long. And the amount of things you can do with them is just amazing. So for me, these are kind of consumables, but they're going to last for ages. I haven't replaced any of my pens yet after 4 or 5 years. I haven't replaced I have replaced one of my paints, which is a pumpkin chalk, because I've used the chalk pumpkin one loads, but I haven't replaced any of my powders. They last for so long. And it's not just about creating watercolor effects. You can paint your grey board with all of these mediums. You can paint your grey board with. You can paint cardstock. You can paint glass with the paints if you want to. Air dry clay, resin, just about everything. So enough rattling, Phil. Let's get on. Let's get a drink. But it's important for me to show you the different products and the different choices that you've got. I'm just having a drink. Because all of these products will give you a different finish, and they will all look lovely and watercolory, but they'll give you a different finish. So, kitchen roll, this is how easy this is to do. I'm only going to make one flower, and I'm going to do my pens first. I'm going to do the pens first, and I'll do the pens on the card that I'm actually creating. So I'm just going to grab the flowers for the card that I'm using. So I'm going to do all of these because this is the card I'm going to make at the end, and we're going to do a two-tone effect with these. So a couple of little tips for you. The cardstock that I'm using is my regular premium pure white cardstock. It is not watercolor card. I know what you're thinking. is doing a watercolour technique, but not with a watercolour card. Why is that? And the simple answer is this cardstock is good enough quality to take all these finishes. So if I would always recommend that you get yourself some of the hot pressed watercolour card. The hot pressed watercolour card is slightly off white, but it doesn't matter when you're painting or changing the colour because you're going to change it anyway. But what you do get with the hot pressed watercolour card is the true watercolour finish, because the paints and the powders and the pens will just blend all over. The normal cardstock that I'm using today will still give us a lovely effect, but the effect will be slightly less, so it won't move as much, but it's still going to look stunning. So here we go. We're going to do these 3 colours, and I'm going to start with the turquoise as my base layer. So these pens, if you've not seen them before, they have a super fine nib look. So if I was using the hot pressed watercolour card, I could just scribble in the middle, do a few flick lines, mist it with water and leave it, because the card and the water would blend the ink. But I'm actually going to take the colour from my mat. So I'm going to scribble a load of colour. I know you can't see that, but trust me, there is colour there. And the turquoise is quite a pale one. It's like a base coat, so I might need to go in a couple of times. Top tip, mist your flowers first, because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to mist the flower. In fact, I'm going to do it the other way. Let's do it this way. Let's make this job a bit easier. For the base coat, anybody can do this. Absolutely anybody can do what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to mist the flowers first, just to give them a little mist of water. Take them off the kitchen roll. I don't actually need kitchen roll for this one yet. See, told you, too many choices. Changing my mind already. It's so much fun as well, and it's dead easy to do, and it just looks really classy at the end. So I'm just going to give these a little mist of water first. So I'm not wetting them through. I'm just putting a little mist of water on, and I'm going to mist the paint, the ink that I've just put on from the pen there. I'm going to grab my tweezers and just rub the colour all over. Ah, that's fab. So what happens is, because I've put the water on the die cut flowers first, it helps to pick the colour up. Remember, we're going for a watercolour effect, so the base coat is not going to be strong, which is exactly what we want. Look, you can actually see it's moving, so it's already doing the watercolour effect just from that little bit of water and a little bit of ink. I might need a bit more colour. Let's see. I can always go in again and add a bit more. Remember not to go on the water, because the water will just absorb it. So here we go. Let's just mix that in. There we go. I'm not going to force dry any of these either. I'm going to leave them to dry naturally as long as I can, which is why I'm doing the flowers that I'm using on my card first, because I can leave them to dry. So we've now got a lovely base coat of that lovely turquoise colour. It's very pale, which is exactly how it should be. That's what watercolouring is. Oops, sorry, I've just knocked the camera, everybody. And we're going to wipe that colour up. And we're going to go in now with the second colour, and we're going to make that stronger. So we're just building up the layers of colour, and I'll do it the same way, because this is a different way to show you. So I'm going to go in with the blue next, which is the strongest colour, and it's one of my favourite blues. I use it constantly. So I'm just scribbling some colour. You might be able to see, oh no, you can't. I can actually see the colour on there. I've done 9 sprays with water there. It's worth noting that the spray bottle that I'm using is our own, and it's a very fine spray, so you don't get water everywhere. And I'm just going to repeat that look. Oh, look at that. I'm going to repeat. You could put as much or as little as you want on. And the way I'm going to make the card at the end, so I am literally going over the top of the turquoise and before the turquoise has dried. Because what happens is, as these inks dry, they blend into each other and you will see bits from all three colours. Let's put a bit more blue on that one. It's so easy to do. It's quite relaxing as well. I'm going to put a little bit more blue. I want it a little bit darker. Remember not to go where it's wet. There we go. Just want a little bit more blue on this big flower because it's going to be my... There we go. I don't know whether you can see this. You can. So can you see where we've got turquoise and we've got the lovely denim-y blue? How fab is that? And the flowers I'm using, I will get to that in a second. We're just going to do the green first and then we can put these to one side to dry. The die cut flowers are from my shabby range and I'll quickly go through them. I'll show you them at the end, because if you don't know me, and this is the first time you've watched me doing a video, the debossing detail, so the lines you get in the flowers, the debossing is kind of my thing. I love deboss detail on my dies, and what happens is the colour, as you can see, the colour sinks into the recessed areas. So I'm going in with this lovely, beautiful olive green now, and I'm not going to do this as strong. You can see just how little I'm using. And this is a strong green, so I'm going to make it quite... The more water you add, the paler the colour. Remember, super top tip for you, this one. If you don't like how it looks when you've got to this stage, yeah, if you don't like it, leave your flowers to dry, start again. So I'm going to dip in this time. Oh, look at that. That's just stunning. So I'm dipping in this time rather than wiggling it all over. That's just beautiful. That is just so beautiful. So the reason I'm dipping in this time is because I don't want to cover all the blue with green. I want it to be a two-tone. Oh, look at that colour. That's stunning. And I can still see, I don't know whether you can, but I can still see all three shades on here. If you wanted the three shades to be even more obvious, just let it dry a little bit more in between each layer. I'm not, because I want it to be pale like this. I'm just going to put a bit more colour on this one, this big one. Because I'm going to layer this flower up, so there you go. So you're only actually going to see the outer edges of that big flower. Right, clean that up, Phill. Clean that up. It's also handy as well. I mean, you know, I don't do this. I don't do messy stuff per se. But if you had a bit of cardstock underneath here while you were doing all this, you would be able to collect the colour that's underneath as well. These colours are beautiful together. And it's so subtle and so gentle, which is exactly what watercolouring is supposed to be. If you wanted these stronger, you just go in with more ink and less water. Aren't they just stunning? So I'm going to pop these to one side to dry. I'll leave them to dry naturally as long as I possibly can. and I will only force dry them if we've got no time left at the end. So that flower that I've just used there is, just so you know, is from my Shabby range. And oh, there you go, it's the Shabby Blooms. There are links in the description on the video to take you straight to my website to get these if you want them. So the Shabby Blooms, and as always when I'm doing my flower dies, I give you the large one. Even if you don't use it very often, I'm going to tell you now, there will come a time where you want a bigger flower, and by the time you've shaped them, they're not as big as they look. And I go all the way down to the smallest. So the smallest flower is just over 2 centimeters, and the largest is just over 8. And they all come on the magnetic sheet. So that was the Shabby Blooms. And now we're going to move on to, let's do the paints next. So we'll do a slightly different way of doing it this time. So move on to the paints. Oh, Shabby Blooms. I have a tub full of all my flowers. So we'll move on to the Shabby Star Flowers. And I'll just do a couple, just so I can show you the technique. Let's just find a smaller one. No, we'll go, oh, emergency services. You can guarantee if I'm recording a video that we're gonna get that. So let's do these two. I'm only gonna do 2 because you only need to see the technique. And I'm not using this flower on my card, so it doesn't matter. So we'll move on to the chalky paints now. So we're going to get a different finish, and at the end when these have all dried, you'll be able to see that different finish even better. Let's just get a drink. It's only when things have dried properly that you get to see the colours. And I'm just gonna show you these because look how beautiful these are. Talk about subtle and watercolour effects. That's exactly what you've got there. Ow. Right, so now we'll move on to the chalky paints. So the chalky paints, again, all my Flawless Media stuff, the paints particularly, are water based. So you can mix these with water to dilute them, and you can mix them with other water based products as well, which is just a bit of a game changer. So like if I wanted to create a texture paste from this in this colour, I would use my texture medium, my normal texture medium, mix it together, and then I will create a lovely translucent coral texture paste. Fabulous. So we're going to do this slightly different. We're going to paint some of the colour on. So I'm going to top tip, don't use your water brushes. So don't use your water brushes from your pen sets with the paints, because it will stain the end of your water brush. It won't harm them, but it will stain the end. So we're going to, just take that off here. I don't want the kitchen roll wet. We're going to mist the flowers. And I've misted them so they are wet on the top. And then we're going to paint some of this colour on. So I'll mix it in. So this is now going to be at, well, you saw how little I used. So we're going to paint that on. You can see already, look, the colour is stronger. Look how beautiful that is. You can see it bleeding through the debossed sections of the die cut. Oh, that's so pretty. So I'm painting that onto the wet cardstock now. And I'm mad with myself because, in fact, I'm going to do another flower. I'm mad with myself because that was far too much paint. So I'm going to do another couple of flowers. Let's just do a couple of small ones. I don't like wasting. I don't like wasting them. Small one. Small one. There we go. The pigments and the paints are so strong, you see, you only need a tiny bit. Just got to wet these. You do need to wet them first because that's what allows the paint to bleed out. And they're not saturated, but they are wet. And I'm literally dabbing the paint on. Anybody can do this. Anybody. How pretty do they look? You can see as it's drying, look how much softer it's getting. And remember, we're using chalky paints. So chalky paints will finish with a nice chalk effect finish. Finish with a chalk effect finish. What a surprise. I've diluted it enough. I'm just going to go over the small flowers. What a lovely colour. So now let's just move those out of the way. I'm not taking any of the colour off. Just move them out of the way while I clean up that bit. And they're already wet enough that I don't need to wet them again for the next colour, which is the violet. I don't know whether you've noticed, for everybody that watches me on my YouTube lives every Monday night, I've changed my mat look. We've got a new mat. Oh, I think I've took too much colour off that one, so we'll put him to one side. And now we're going to repeat that process with the second colour. Remember, don't dip your brushes into your paint pots without cleaning them, because the paints will bleed. If you double dip, it'll ruin your paint pot, or it'll change the colour of it at least. So we're going to do the same thing again, but this time I'm going to use, it's a stronger colour. This is the African Violet. That was my chair, by the way. So I'm going to put a little bit of paint on there. Missed it. Remember, exactly the same. It's exactly the same as with the pens. The more water you put on, the lighter the colour. Oh, that's just lovely. And I'm just going to dab from the middle from these so it can bleed out. That is just so pretty. Let's do the same with the others. Oh, you can see it. So I'm literally just dabbing in the middle, look. And it's bleeding the colour out. The water that's already on these flowers is sucking the colour out from the centre. That's so pretty. How relaxing is this as well? And it's loving these debossed sections on my dies, because the paint sinks into it. I think I must have used a bit too much water on this one, but still, it'll be a tone. It's a watercolour effect, so that's what we're going for. There we go, that's better. Oh, these look so pretty. I don't actually think I need any more. I'm quite happy. I think they look beautiful. Look at these two colours together. They're gorgeous. African Violet and Pacific Coral. Stunning. So I'm going to stop because I'm doing what I always do, and that's just faffing. So I'm going to stop. I'll put these on the kitchen roll. Remember, leave them to dry naturally as long as you can. Let me just show you these before I put them on the floor. Aren't they just beautiful? I remember when the water evaporates, you're going to be left with that colour. So let's just pop that on the floor. So we've now gone through the watercolour pens. I'm just moving the other flowers about so they're not sitting in the damp bit of kitchen roll. So we've now done the watercolour pens and we have done the chalky paints. So now let's move on to the metallic paints. It's more or less the same procedure, but we're going to make these a little bit stronger, and we're going to show you the flowers. So we've done Shabby Blooms, which was the watercolour pens. Shabby Star Flowers is what I've just done the chalk paints on. So Shabby Star Flowers, they're all beautiful. So that's Shabby Star Flowers. I'll leave that to the side. And now we'll move on to Shabby Blossoms. So I'll just do a couple again because I know I'm going to use more paint than I need to. I like to do the smaller ones as well because I use more smaller flowers than bigger ones. So now we'll move on to the metallic paints. So the metallic paints are what they say. They will give you a lovely pearlescent shimmery finish. And you can make these again as strong or as light as you like. And we're going to go on. I think I'm going to go on with I'm going to do the opposite of what I would tell you to do. So my instinct is telling me to put the green base coat on and then the hot pink on top. But I'm not. I'm going to do it the other way around because I want more of that lovely lime green showing. So look, you can actually see the shimmer in these before I even do anything with them. And I've been using this set for about 2 years. Look how little I've used. It's so concentrated you only need a tiny bit. So again with the paintbrush, make sure you've cleaned it from before. And if you haven't got a paintbrush, you can do this with your finger, but I don't stick my finger in places it don't belong. That's all I'm saying. So we're going to do a base coat with the hot pink, and I'm still going to spray these with water. So the same as we've just done with the chalk paints. I'm not going to do as much. And I'm going to make this a little bit stronger just because I can. So that's how much paint I'm using, which is, I can tell you now, I already know it's too much. So one thing to make sure you do with the metallic paints is make sure you mix them nicely with the water. I'm going to bring that in just to see if you can see the shimmer that's on that brush. It's beautiful. And I'm going to paint over the whole thing this time because I want a stronger base coat. We've diluted it because I've sprayed them with water, so you can see that the colour is moving with the water. So this is this is now the third effect I'm showing you, or the third way to do it. And I'm covering the whole thing on a base coat. So if I put this next to the pot, you can see that it's the same colour. It's that lovely hot pink, but because we've diluted it with water, it softens it a little. That's just so lovely. And I can see the shimmer in this paint already before it's even dried. And I love how it sits in the deboss sections. So look at the difference in colour, look. Let me bring one up. It's hard to believe, isn't it? Just with a little bit of water. So that is the hot pink. I've got to clean up because I don't want to contaminate. My paint pots. So I'm cleaning up as I go. That's just me being me. You do you. So now we're going to take this gorgeous lime green, lime crush, and we're going to go over the top with it. Oh, look at that colour. If that's not lime green, I don't know what is. So paintbrush again. I'm just going to show you my paintbrush from the paints. Look, this is why I told you not to use your water brushes, because the quality of the paint is so good. It does stain the bristles on your brushes. It won't transfer, but it does change the colour. So I don't like to use my water brushes with this. And I think I'm going to do this slightly different, because that pink has ended up being stronger than I wanted it to be. Still very pretty. So I'm going to show you how to fix that. So I'm going to take some paint. I'm going to mist it with water. Do a little bit more. Mist it with water. So like here, I need to make sure I've mixed this nicely. I'm going to put a little bit more paint on there. I'll take it from the side. That's better. And I am actually going to paint on the inside. On the inside of this. So I'm just flicking through. I'm not paying attention because we're going to mix this with water again. These colours together are beautiful. So I'm not colouring neatly, look, I'm just colouring in the middle of the flower. Just laying some colour down. Oh, that's just so pretty. And as always, I've done too much paint. Showed you how far it goes. So I'm just putting a dab in the middle. Can you see I'm just dabbing the middle with the excess paint rather than wasting it? And then we're going to mist the whole thing, and it will bleed these colours into each other. Do you know what? I need to get another flower. Forgive me. Forgive me. I'm not going to get the pink again, but I'm just going to do... I'm just going to paint that straight on. Because by definition, just by adding water to the paints, we've created a watercolour effect. Far too much, Phill. It goes a long way, this paint. That colour is amazing. If you're scared of bright colours, lime is always a safe bet, because you can use lime with pink colours and it always looks beautiful. So where it overlaps with the green, you see, we're going to get a lovely orangey tint. Right, that'll do. I'm not going to use any more. I'm not going to do any more because we'll be here all day. So let that be a lesson. You only need a tiny bit a tiny bit of the paint. Particularly with the stronger colours. The stronger colours, you only need a little bit. So we are working our way through this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to mist over these. I mean, that looks pretty fabulous already. You can just see if I wiggle that it's not quite dry, but you can see the metallic sheen we're getting from that, the pearlescent sheen. But now I want these to bleed out a little bit more, so I'm going to go in the centre as close as I can. Oh, that's it. One squirt. Two squirts on this one because I missed. Oh, that just looks amazing. Amazing. I always love doing this. Look at this. Wow. I'm going to put it straight onto the kitchen roll. That is just awesome. Remember, you can save this video. You can watch it as much as you like. Remember to comment, because I do always read the comments. Like and comment for me. And share it all over your social media. I'm quite happy for you to do that. You can share my videos. Spread the love. Look at these colours. Look at these colours. Wow, wow, wow. That's the metallic paints, remember, everybody. So I'm going to put this down here. Basically, by the time we've done today, by the time I finish showing you all these techniques, you will be able to see four of an unlimited, but 4 different finishes. So from the pens, we're going to get a true wishy-washy watercolour effect, because I did it quite pale. And then I can actually see, look, let me show you. Look. So we've got a true wishy-washy watercolour effect on those with the pens. And then we've gone with the chalk paints, then we've gone with the metallic paints, and now we're going to do the lustre powders, which is slightly different, because there's a couple of different ways you can use the lustre powders. Let me just find somewhere to put them. There's a couple of different ways you can use the lustre powders to make watercolour effects. So let me just show you the dyes. I need to show you the dye. Oh, do you know what? I never put these in the right order before I started, but they've all actually come out in the right order. So that is the Shabby Blossoms, which is the one I've just used with the metallic paints. And again, same format as all my dyes. You've got the large dye all the way down to the small one. Yeah. And worth me reminding people, in case you don't know, when you get to my smaller ones, they actually cut to the centre, so when you're shaping them, they overlap naturally. And then the last one we're going to do is Shabby Daisies, and we'll do Shabby Daisies with the Radiant Lustre Powders. And I'm just going to do one flower, but make it fabulous. I'll just find a smaller one. I told you I use the smaller ones more. So I always need to cut more smaller flowers. Oh, will that one do it? Yeah, that'll do. It's not the right one, but it'll do. So these are the Shabby Daisies, which are one of my favourites. For Chrissy Cole, if you're watching me, you know I love my favourites. Right, so we're going to do, if you haven't seen these before, these are my Radiant Lustre Pigment Powders. So just to avoid any confusion, these are not just mica powders. Mica powders are different. These are mica, pigment and fixative built in. So you've got everything here in one product. The same as my paints. You can buy these individually. You can download the chart from my Facebook group, Crafting with Phill Martin and Sentimentally Yours. So you can fill your own chart. You can buy them in sets of 5 that I've put together, or you can buy them individually, and they last for ages. So these are not just mica powders, so don't be fooled into thinking you'll get the same effect just from mica powders, because you won't. These are stronger. So decisions, and because I'm not live, I can't ask you which to go first. I'm going to go with the lighter one first, which is Dandelion. And these, that's probably enough now. These are absolutely packed with colour. So mist them with water. Always mist the cardstock with water. Now, if it just helps, it helps whatever product you're using. If you just give it a little mist. And remember, this is a fine mist. It looks like I'm putting a lot on, but I'm not, because this is a super fine mist. But always give it your cardstock a mist first, because it just helps the product to move, because it's already wet. Let's just clean my brush. And as if by magic, look, most of that pink's gone, because it's been superseded with the lime that I've just used. That bit of powder there, I didn't actually want that, but I'm not going to waste it. So we'll make a paint from this. So just mix it with a little bit of water. Dandelion is like a lovely yellowy gold. And I'm just going to run over this. It's not what I wanted, so it will be very pale. We're going to go in with the powders direct, which is a bit different. You can tell there was only a teeny bit of powder on there. I love lemon and orange and lemon together, orange and yellow together. Right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to tap some of this powder on, and I should have somewhere a little spatula thing. So a little tip, top tip for you if you're going to do this at home, if you're going to have a go at this, do this on another bit of cardstock, because you can absolutely use, in fact, let's do this on the kitchen roll. You can absolutely use the waste from this. Yeah, I will change the kitchen roll, don't worry. Because we're going to tap the powder on here and then wet it. So a little goes a long way. I'm tutting because I've just dropped some of this on the side. And this will give us texture as well as colour. And this is another reason why you wet your cardstock first, particularly with the powders. It's a bit tight there. I'm trying to only get small amounts. Inevitably you do waste some, which is why I told you to put a bit of cardstock underneath. Because if you have a little bit of cardstock underneath, you will end up with all the waste, and it actually looks really rather fabulous. So I'm just making sure I've got a bit on each petal. And that will do, I think, for that. I'm not being particularly neat. I am normally neater than this, but I'm just trying to show you the technique. So what happens now, because we've got powder in blobs, when I wet this, the colour will more or less bleed out from where it's wet. So let's do that. So I'm going in quite wet, and the colour, as you can see, is bleeding out from the powders. That's why I said make sure you get a bit on each petal, but it'll be fine, it'll be fine. So we've now got this lovely golden glow underneath, but we've also got texture from the powder. So it is moving. If you want it to move more, oh, I don't actually, I quite like that. So now this is actually wet enough for us to go in with the next colour, and we can just build up how much we're using. It's easier to do it this way than it is to do it on the mat, which is why it's always worth having a little bit of cardstock underneath. So let's add a bit more of this orange colour, and we're going to build up the colour now on these. So this is a little bit more mixed media-ish, the effect we'll get, because we are going to get crunch from the powders, we're going to get texture, but it looks amazing because it's a lovely metallic texture you get. Oh, I'm having such a good time. I'm glad I found time to do this video today. So you can see where it's hitting the water, look, it is starting to spread already. We are going to dilute it again, and we are going to go in again with the yellow. This is all about building up the colour as much or as little as you want it. So I love this colour. African sunset, beautiful. So let's just give that another mist and get that colour moving. Fabulous. I think this is nearly half empty, which is why I'm having to angle it such a lot. Oh, that's just beautiful. I'm going to lift that up just to show you what's happening. Can you see, look, we've still got yellow and orange. Orange is obviously the dominant colour, so we're going to go back in with the dandelion. Remember to clean the end of your little spatula so you don't contaminate your pots. I think I was a bit tight with the dandelion, so let's see if I can get a little bit more in. This will be the last one to dry, so hopefully it will have dried enough naturally by the time I've finished. I'm trying not to use a lot because I don't want to I don't want to waste too much of my powder because I'm not using any card underneath. It's still watercoloured. In fact, it looks absolutely stunning. Let's just put a little bit more yellow in the middle of that flower. Oops, not that much, Phill. See, it's hardly touched the pot, look. And I know what you'll be thinking. You'll be thinking, could you do a whole sheet? Could you do a whole sheet with this technique and then cut your flowers afterwards? Yes, you could. But what you'll find is where we've got the clumps, if you die cut afterwards, you will lose some of the clumps because it'll crack off in your die cutting machine. Do you know what? I'm not going to wet that anymore. I think that just looks fabulous. Let me just pick some of this colour up. Take it to the ends. That's better. I just wanted a bit more colour on the ends, and that's just simply because my my kitchen roll is so wet it's pushing it back. That's beautiful. Oops, why did you do that, Phill? That'll do. That'll do. Now let me show you the difference. We've got two definite colours in there. I need a dry bit of kitchen roll to put these on. That's another tip for you. I'm full of the tips today. Once you've done all your wet techniques, put them onto dry kitchen roll because it'll dry quicker. So let's just put that on. These look fabulous. Do you see what I mean about waste, look? You could move that about a bit more with water. I won't because I know I'm not going to use it. But you could. You could do it under a bit of cardstock. Well, let's just show you, look. Oh, it's starting to dry already where it's a bit thinner. And you'll see that beautiful, on the bottom one, look, you can see that gorgeous pearlescent sheen we've got coming from these. It almost looks like copper and gold, but it isn't. It's yellow and orange. It's Dandelion and African Sunset. So that's four, look at that though. That's from the paints. That's the lime watered down. That's dry now. Right, so that's four different ways we've watercolour. So I'm going to leave them all on the floor at the side to dry whilst we put this card together. And it's a simple card for me. We'll come back to my watercoloured flowers that look just beautiful. And these are not quite dry enough for me to work with. So I'm going to do the layering first. And this is true watercolour, wishy-washy watercolour. And you can see the green has gone paler. I'm going to put it on a bit of white cardstock so you can see the colour. You can see it better when it's on white. Look at that. So gentle, so subtle, so pretty. Even in the debossed sections of the dies, it just looks beautiful. So I'm going to leave these a bit longer to dry and we'll make a start on the card. The longer I can leave them, the better. I don't like drying them with a heat tool. Just because when they're wet, it pushes the colour around and we don't want it to do that. So what have I got here? This is a quick card, remember I said, and I'm just going to try and find the embossing folder I've used to show you. Oh, it's here. So this card is going to be all white, and the only colour is going to be this really beautiful gentle colour from the Watercolour Blending Brush Pens. So the embossing folder I've used is my, I forgot what you call it. I'm going to tell you in a minute. bear with me. I know it's scallop summer. I will tell you in a second. I'm looking on my website to tell you what it's called. There's a link in the instructions anyway. Where are we? Embossing folders. Embossing folders. This is my beaded swags. There you go. So I was wrong. Beaded swags. 8x8 embossing folder. And it just looks beautiful. Look. It's very pretty. So that's beaded swags. And that's going to just go straight on here just with glue. It's a very simple card for me, but sometimes the flowers are going to do the work. So there's no other colour on this card apart from the flowers. And it's very, very classy and easy to achieve. And obviously if you were making a lot of cards, you could just do a lot of your flowers in one go. You could do them the night before, for example, and leave them to dry overnight. Oops. And then when you come back to them the day after, all your flowers are going to be ready to go. So I'm just holding that, just let that flatten a little bit. I love white on white anyway. I always think it looks very elegant. And this is going to go on foam tape onto the card itself. I don't do simple cards, but this is as simple as it gets. And you can be as simple, or as you could just put one flower on next to your sentiment and it would still look beautiful. So foam tape, and then we'll glitter around the edge, and then we'll shape the flowers and get this card put together. And for me, how long have I been? Just over an hour. That's remarkable for me. Because I've shown you 4 different watercolour techniques with 4 different products. And I'm making a card. Aren't you glad I did all the prep before? So let's just get this on the base layer. Pokey tool, where are you? This is a slightly bigger than a A5 card. I don't make normal card shapes or sizes, but you could scale this down to fit an A5 card, so just an A4 piece of card folded in half. Just pop that in the middle, and then we'll glitter around the edge of that. So the top part is proper A5, so the embossed piece of card is A5 sized. I'm adding no other colour to this. Now, if you wanted to, so when I was doing the flowers, the ink from the pens that was left over on the mat, I could have splattered that onto the background if I wanted to, rather than leave it. But I didn't want to. I literally just wanted the soft colour to come from the flowers on this card. So I'm just quickly going to go around the edge of this and glitter it. And I'm using Diamond Dazzle because Diamond Dazzle is clear glitter and it's my favourite. It's the one that I use all the time. I'm doing it from the wrong side. I'm trying to just get up to the join so it covers the join look. I don't worry about glue being chunky or glumpy or in the wrong place, because it's going to dry translucent, so you won't be able to see it. All you'll be left with is the sparkle from the glitter. And it will look fabulous. Here we go. Get some Diamond Dazzle on. So all this is just giving my flowers a little bit longer to dry naturally, which is the best way. The only one that I would tell you, you could force dry would be the I've missed a bit there, would be the powders, the last one we did. But just bear in mind, if you're impatient and you're going to use a heat tool on any of them really, you're going to push the colour around, so you definitely need to do it on a low speed setting. So that's the edges done, so I'll pop that to one side and just let that set for a minute, and we will do our sentiment. So I've got a couple of little strips left over here from matting and layering, and the sentiment I've chosen today is from my Essential Verses set. So currently there are quite a few in the Essential Verses, and these are just a fabulous set of stamps to have in your arsenal, because what you've got is what's this one here? This is anniversary, so this is actually giving you a full anniversary verse, and it's giving you all the different ways, like you could do an anniversary to your husband, to your wife, to your partner, to a couple. So straight away that's 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 5 different ways of using the anniversary. And then you get all the extra little sentiments. Look, our anniversary, yours, and then birthday. There's a link, I'll put a link in the description, so there's a link that takes you straight to all the verses. This is my verse library collection 1, but I'm going to go to friendship. So I'm going to use the friendship verse. So if I was making a proper card, a folded card, I would do the verse on the inside. It's a beautiful verse. Your friendship is a special gift. It is treasured by me every day. Blah, blah, blah. But I just want this little sentiment here to my special friend. Blah, blah, blah. That's a new verse. So I'm using my platform just in case I have to go in a second time. And I'm just going to stamp this with well, I was going to do it in, no, I'm just going to do it in black because it stands out more. So let's just get that just where I want it, and I've not gone right to the end because I want to snip off the ends. So pick that up, and I'm just going to stamp this with VersaFine Onyx Black. I love them verse sentiments because they're all different themes. So if you've got, I don't know, if you've got new home cards to do, there's a verse for that. If you've got baby cards to do, there's a verse for that. And of course it's not just the verse, it's all the sentiments as well, so it's the whole thing. Oh, that's just so pretty. I've got a bit of glitter on the top of there, but that'll be fine. I just need to clean my stamp. You know I don't leave dirty stamps. Put that back where it belongs, and then I know I won't lose it. That's lessons learned the hard way. Losing stamps from stamp sets is so frustrating. Put it back. And then I'm going to snip the end off that. I don't know whether to leave it square. No, I'm not. I'm not leaving it square. I'm going to snip it. So let's do it. Let's do a point this time, just for a change. So I've got a little point on there, and I've also got another piece to mat and layer onto, and I'm just putting that on flat. Remember, if you're going to do this, you have to come down a little bit, just so you're able to copy the shape that you've put at the end. That's another lesson I've learned the hard way. Yeah, so just leave enough for you to be able to follow the shape, look. we've now got a lovely little double point at the end with that lovely verse. Lovely sentiment rather. I'll leave that to dry. I'm going to glitter it, but I just need to make sure the ink's dried. So let's check our flowers. Oh, fabulous. Yeah, they're all lovely and dry. You see how pale they are? Pale and interesting. Even that looks... You could use that, but oh well. I'll reuse the kitchen roll, I always do. So now let's get these flowers shaped. And the gems I'm going to pop in. So let's see if the blue works. Or if it's too blue. If it's too blue, we won't. Yeah, it's too blue. So I'm going with the Aurora. So I'm just going to shape these the way I normally do. And you know, I like to shape heavily. So I get lots of lovely kinks and creases in the end of my flowers. I just think it adds to the texture. So this is going to be a double flower, which is why I'm doing this one first. It looks so lovely. I'm not glittering the tips of the flowers, but I am going to glitter inside when the gem's gone in. So that's one. This one is a double. I've purposefully done, and I remember when I was getting this cut out and prepped this morning, that I wanted 3 double flowers and all the rest were individual. It just adds to the different effects you get. I love these flowers, Shabby Blooms. Love them. And then one more double. One more double. It's difficult for you to see the colour from the camera being so high, but when I finish the card and I put it all together, you'll see just how lovely and subtle this is. Like here, look. Can you see? There you go, look. On the edge of that petal there, where it didn't quite reach the end of the petal, but look how fab it looks. I can still see all 3 colours. You've got a lovely turquoisey undertone. Then you've got the blue, which was the denim blue, which has gone quite pale because we've watered it down a lot. And it's just really, really pretty. So that's my 3 double ups. These are all individual now. So the smaller ones are even easier to shape because the petals will naturally overlap in the middle. Remember I told you about all my small flowers. I take the cut line further into the middle, so you get a natural overlap of one of the petals, one of the fronds in the middle when you shape it together. There you go, that's perfect. I think I need to treat myself to a new mat. So gems, so let's get the gems on now. So I'm going in with a lot of glue in the middle, too much glue, because when I pop the gem on, the gem will force the glue out and we can glitter it. So we're going to get a lovely glittery ring around the gem. You can see that my PVA glue is not your average PVA glue. It's thicker. It's fabulous. I'm so glad I was patient when I first tried to source this, because not all glues are created the same, I can tell you that much. And this maintains its shape, it maintains its form. So let's just get some gems in. So Big gem. Big gem. I'm just putting the gems in, I'm not pushing them down with my little pickup tool because it's wax and it will damage it. So I'm just putting them in place. Small gem. Small gem. The little pickup tools are on my website as well. I haven't put links for that, but you'll find it under the tools section. So my tweezers, which you see me use constantly, are on the website. They are the Aurora Crystal Gemporium, and these are not your average gem as you would expect from me. These are multifaceted. So now I've put the gems in, I'm pushing them down with my tweezers, my flat nose tweezers, and then you can see what happens. Look, it forces the glue outside of the gem, and this is the only bit of glitter we're going to have on these flowers when I've done all the pushing out. Let's just turn that around. Yeah, it's very pretty. It's a nice way to get glitter around the gem without covering the gem up. Just remember, if your glue is a little bit watery, it might go where you don't want it. Mine's not. It's a bit thicker. Love that. And then by the time I put this card together, hopefully all these bits on the floor that are drying will be dry enough for me to show you the effect. Nearly done. Last one. Details. I love paying attention to details. Look how pretty that looks like. Remember, once the glue's dried, it's transparent, so you're just going to end up with the sparkle from the flowers. So let's just swap sides. Let's come to our sentiment, and the sentiment is going on foam tape. I told you it's a simple card. This is going on foam tape. Easy to achieve, but looks fabulous. So I'm going to put this in position and then glitter the outer layer. And this, I know, is going to go down here. So you'll notice I kept this longer. If you've seen me before, you'll know I always do this. I kept that space bigger so that I can tuck a flower on top. So I'm going to go, in fact, you know what, let's go over the edge. I never go over the edge. I might have tipped over the edge. It looks like I had a bit of powder on my tweezers, which is frustrating. So there'll be a flower on there. Let's just glitter around the outside. So I'm just going around the outside, the bottom layer of this banner. Just makes it stand out a little bit more. Glitter, Diamond Dazzle. Wouldn't be without it. You know, when they ask you that question, if you were stranded on a desert island, what would you need? Well, I could tell you now, mine would be my pickup tool, my tweezers, my Diamond Dazzle and some flower dyes, and I'd be quite happy to be stranded on a desert island with those products. So the leaves I've got here are my floaty fronds, which are one of my all-time favourites because they are very delicate. And you get 4 dies. You've probably seen it as I've been showing you the flowers. You get 4 dies, 2 larger, 2 smaller, right facing, left facing, and I use them constantly. So much so that I've even got a tub full of these as well. Look, needs topping up. But they're going to go in last, and I'm not glittering them. I've just left the glitter to where we've got it already. So here we go. Let's assemble this card. So we're going to have a cascade of flowers starting with the largest one. And this is where the colour comes in. So it is definitely a white on white card. And this is where we're introducing a little bit of colour. I'm going to change my tweezers because I think they've got a little bit of orange powder on them. So the largest flower. Next largest. Flowers go on first. Flowers go on first, and then the leaves get tucked in afterwards. Get up there. That's it. I can't be the only one that talks to my flower dies. Or am I? Or am I? So we're just going to do a little cascade up here of flowers. And I know I need to save one to cover up that. So I'm going to put that on first. And I'm annoyed because we've got a tiny bit of orange showing. So it needs to be covered up with a lovely watercoloured flower. So flowers first, leaves tucked in afterwards. So I'm just cascading these up. Two more to put on. And you can see I'm using my glue gel. I always use glue gel for my flowers these days, just because it allows me to lift up. It allows me to lift up the to lift them up to tuck the leaves underneath. Just take that up there a bit. Yep, happy with that. And now the fronds are going on. I can't wait for you to see the flowers because they look amazing. So I want a large one here. I'm not glittering these, which I know is unusual, but there's enough sparkle on there from the outer border and around the sentiment. So I'm literally snipping these down and tucking the leaves underneath. This is why I like glue gel, because it allows me to do this. And I have used both sizes of the fronds dies. So I've got the small one and I've got the large one on here. And I always include 2 different sizes in my foliage, if not more, simply because it allows more choices. And that bit of glue gel there is going to bug me. So that's going to have glitter on it in a minute. Nearly done. We are nearly done. I told you it's a simple card, but doesn't it look pretty? So a large one under here, facing the other direction. And then a couple of small ones to finish off. one going left and one going right. So one going left, and the one going left is going under here. In fact, I'm going to put the one going right under there as well because it balances. That's better. And then the last job, don't waste these, but I do tend to throw these away. I'm telling you not to waste them, but I do throw them away. But these actually come in handy when you're tucking under your foliage as well. But I've got so many of them, I don't keep them anymore. So one more job to do on this card, and then I'll bring it in and show you. So as ever, I like a couple of random gems. Just a couple of random gems dotted in the gaps. This is just a Phill thing. It's a Phill thing. I like a couple of just random gems just dotted around. And I've just spotted another bit of orange on my card, so I'm going to have to create another flower, but I'll do that later. And I think that's plenty, thank you very much. So let's show you how easy it is to make a really pretty simple card with your watercoloured flowers. And if this was me and I was taking the time to make the flowers, I would do a whole load and save them so you could recreate this as often as you like. I've just got to cover that bit of glue gel up. It's one of my pet hates. You see where you see a little bit of glue gel showing? So now everything's in position. I'm just going to run some Diamond Dazzle over the bits of glue gel that's showing. Yeah, that's the only bit you can see. And now though, even though you can see it, it's sparkly, so it looks like it's prettier than just seeing a blob of glue gel. And there you go, look, so we've got, I mean, this is a really pretty card, and it was dead easy to do. It's just an embossing folder, a couple of layers of white card. The only colour is from those pretty flowers, and the flowers have been created with the Watercolour Blending Brush Pens. So they are very subtle, you can see, there you go, that's a good angle for the colour. Yeah. And how easy was it to create that card? And you could do this in whatever colourway you want to. And that's the beauty of watercolouring. You might wake up and think, do you know what, I might do a pink and, I don't know, pink and blue card today, and you can do that with these pens. And you can do it with the paints, you can do it with the powders. So let's just bring in the other flowers, just so you can see how they've finished. I'm not going to turn them into flowers, but I'm just going to show you. Oh, let's do it in order. Let's do it in order. So this is the chalk paints. You can see the finish is completely different. These look fantastic. These look amazing. I absolutely love them. And they're not quite dry yet, they're still quite damp. But I don't know whether you can see that lovely chalk finish. These have definitely got a very classy chalky finish to them, I promise you. And don't they look fantastic? I'm not going to make them into flowers because they're still not quite dry, but I will do at some point. They won't get wasted. This is the metallic paints. And again, what a fantastic finish. So watercoloured, let me put them on my hand so I can bring them a bit closer. So we've still got that watercolour effect. And we purposefully made the colours stronger, remember? But how gorgeous do they look with that lovely metallic sheen? We've got the lime in the middle and the hot pink on the base coat and on the edges of the petals. Fantastic. I love things like this. I love making flowers like this. And then the last one, oh, these look amazing. These are still really, really wet, but they're dry enough for me to show you the texture that I was talking about. Let me try and get them all on here so you can see them. There we go. And these are the Radiant Luster powders. Ooh, I can't wiggle them out. There you go. So now you can see we've got that lovely crunch from the powders. Remember, I keep talking about crunch and it's literally just a bit of texture. It's just a bit of texture. Because I went on with the yellow at the end, the dandelion, we've got that lovely I'm going to make that into a flower because I'm not doing them justice. So I'm going to show you what that looks like made up. It's still quite damp, so it might not shape properly, but I'm going to shape this into a flower. Yeah, you can see it's still damp, look. But you won't get the benefit until you see this made into a flower. Once this is dried properly, that won't come off. These are still quite wet. As you can see, it's sticking to my ball tool, but you'll get the idea. I've shown you how to do it, so you can have a go yourself. Where did I put the kitchen roll? There you are. And as with all watercolour techniques, you're in control of how strong the colour is. So if I wanted these to be stronger, for example, just use less water. Just use less water when you're misting the paints and what have you. There you go, look. Now you can see that lovely finish. That's better. And you look stunning. You cannot make a bad flower from any of these techniques that I've just shown you. Look. How gorgeous is that? And you've got all that lovely pearlescent shimmer coming from the two tones of the yellow and the orange. It looks gorgeous. Right, shall I just make one of the other flowers up? What time, how long have I been? I've already been an hour and a half, so I suppose another 5 minutes is not going to hurt, is it? So let's just make a flower up. Let's just make a flower up from this one. I'm going to shape this one differently. Where's my pointy tweezers? I'm going to shape this one back, just so you get a different effect. So I'm just holding it with my pointy tweezers and folding the petals back. I may as well show you what all three flowers look like now. Take 2 minutes. This is absolutely my happy place, because I love making flowers for my cards, as you well know. So I've shaped this one different, so we get a different look again. Fabulous. Oops, sorry flower, I've just squashed that poor flower. I didn't drink much coffee, did I? That's probably why I'm being cruel to the die cut flowers. There you go, look. Again, we've got that gorgeous pearlescent metallic sheen And look at those colours from the metallic paints. Stunning. Is there another one? Yeah, there's another one, the chalky one. So let's just do the chalky one. And I'll shape this one. Which way did I do that back? So I'm going to do this one and curl this one. Yeah, let's just do these two. So I'm going to curl this one back. So a different way again. Pointy tweezers. Curl the petals back. It's not quite dry, don't forget, so they won't hold the shape until they dry properly. I don't know whether you can see how chalky these are, but it looks amazing. And anybody that knows me knows that I love the chalk finish anyway. These two colours together look stunning. What were they? African Violet and Coral. Pacific Coral. And then a gem. Just to finish it off. Just to finish off the centre. And then I can show you all 4 different effects that we've created today. Look at that lot. Just bring that forward a bit. There we go. Oh my word. Stunning. I mean, I've done this for years and I still love to see how these come together at the end when you're putting everything together. So there you go. So we've now used the Watercolour Blending Brush Pens wherever I've put them. Oh, they're underneath them tubs there. We used the Watercolour Blending Brush Pens to create these flowers, which were the palest ones. And that's simply because I used more water. We used the chalk paints to create this one, which gives you that beautiful, really elegant chalky finish. It's like velvet. They almost look like velvet. Then we use the metallic paints to create this one, which gives you that beautiful, the colour's stronger look because I use less water. But it almost looks tropical. So that was with the metallic paints. And then last but not least, this one is still quite wet, which is why it's not kept its shape. There you go, that's a bit better. And this was with the Radiant Luster powders, which is a completely different look again, because we've got clumps. We've got clumps of the colours because I tapped the powders on, remember? And it's a different effect again. But all of these techniques you can recreate easily once you've got any of the mediums, the chalky paints, metallic paints, Radiant Luster powders, or the Watercolour Blending Brush Pens. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I've thoroughly enjoyed showing you this because it's absolutely my thing, and it depends what mood I'm in as to what product I use. But how marvellous is it that we've got choices? You're not restricted to one finish. We could quite easily have done the pens, which is what I've done here, and I could have added some blue powder onto this to give it a pearlescent sheen. The choices are just limitless. So remember, everything that I've put links to everything that I've used in the description, so it gives you a quick link to take you to my website. But everything that I've used today, if you don't use the quick links, is available on my website, which is honeypotcrafts.co.uk. If you are an overseas customer, we absolutely will ship to you, but you just need to send us a message on the Facebook page, the Sentimentally Yours Facebook page, telling us what you're after, and we will get you sorted. Please remember, if you are on Facebook, to like and follow my Sentimentally Yours Facebook page. And I do a YouTube Facebook Live every Monday evening at 7 p.m. So make sure you've subscribed to my channel. You can ask to join my Facebook group too, which is Crafting with Phill Martin and Sentimentally Yours. And we have loads going on there, loads of lovely crafters in there, inspiration. I do little giveaways in there. We do a monthly layout challenge, and we have a good time in there as well. So please remember to like and subscribe to my page, my channel, please. I would very much appreciate it. I'm quite happy for you to share the links of my videos onto your own social media. The more people that know, the better. Let's get everybody joining in. So I hope you've enjoyed that video. I need a coffee. That's how much I drank, look. I hope you've enjoyed that how-to video. So I've showed you 4 different ways of creating watercoloured flowers using 4 different products, and I've even made you a pretty card at the end. So thanks everybody, have a lovely day, happy crafting, and I will see you in the Facebook group. Thanks a lot, bye.